Namaste. I am Dr. Sanjay Kulkarni from Pune, India. On behalf of Shruti Ayurved, I welcome you all. Today I would like to discuss the point is the immunity. This is one of the very important topic nowadays, and obviously it needs to be, because the current situation what we are around is this COVID-19. Everybody is trapped in their home because of the lockdown. The whole world is at standstill. Now everybody tries to find the solution for this very hard problem. The scientists are busy for finding the vaccines. Doctors are trying their level best. Now what should we do as a common man to improve the immunity? And I think this is most important. Generally we say prevention is better than cure. At the same time, there is one good verse in Maharshi Patanjali Yoga Sutra, and it says, avoid the danger before it arrives. So obviously we want to avoid the infection. Now when we want to avoid the infection, we need to bring up our immunity. Now the question arises, how we can bring up our immunity? I would like to say you in a very simplified way. Of course, in Ayurveda we say diet is the first pillar of our life. So what you eat is very important, because what we eat, we become. At the same time, what eats us is even more important. Now you would understand what I mean to say. In Ayurveda we say, as it is a consciousness based science, we say mind, body and consciousness together approach is extremely important to bring up the immunity. If there is any lack in between these, or if there is any gap in between mind, body and consciousness, then that is the seed for the diseases, or that is the ground we are preparing for the diseases or the infection. So now practically think, we have to find some solution to bring up our immunity. So let's start off thinking some ways in our day-to-day life. Of course, we say physical immunity, mental immunity, acquired immunity. When we are saying about physical immunity, everybody understand. But what about mental immunity? Yes, mental immunity is equally and the most important also when we are thinking about any disease or infection, and when we are thinking of bringing up the immunity. For an example, your lunchtime, you are hungry, you are sitting in front of your food, you have top quality food in front of you, but at the same time you are very angry, maybe due to some reason, or you have some bad thought in your mind. When you start eating that food, even though it is a top quality food, it is most sattvic food, but still that bad thought or your anger, any emotions I would rather say, will hamper on your digestive fire, which will bring down the capacity of the digestion, or your agni, that is the digestive juices or digestive enzymes, that will have an impact. So ultimately the digestion will be not so good, and then whatever the nourishment you are supposed to get through your diet, you would not get it. So ultimately your immunity will be not formed very well. Now the second part, of course, physical. When we are talking about the physical diet, as we are talking, diet is the first pillar of our life, as Ayurveda says. We have to see what we are really eating. I'm really speaking, and I really want to emphasize more in this current scenario what we are eating. because many of you might be cooking a lot of sweets, because when people are at home, generally they try to, you know, cook so many dishes, especially the sweet dishes. Let me tell you one thing. Any excess consumption of sugar, maybe a chemicalized white sugar or even any sugar, if it is if it is consumed in excess amount, that will bring up inflammation in our physiology. And this is acidic food. Any kind of inflammation will bring down your immunity. Now, when I'm talking about acidic food or when I'm talking about inflammatory food, what food really we should think of? First, sugar, especially excess amount of sugar. If possible, try to avoid sugar as much as possible. Why? If I would say, especially this coronavirus infection, what type of symptoms the person would get? Dry cough or the pain in the throat, and then the mucus in the lungs. So basically it hampers the breathing capacity. So it affects mainly on the respiratory system. Sugar, as it is sweet, it brings more mucus in our physiology. As it brings up more mucus in the physiology, so naturally it will form more flame in your throat or in your lungs, in your breathing system. So that will prepare the ground for this virus to act more efficiently. Now you understand my point. So use less sugar or try to use not any sugar. Second thing, what is more inflammatory? Tea, coffee, consumption of alcohol, consumption of animal products, consumption of lot of dairy products, even smoking. All these things are bringing acidic and inflammation in our physiology, and that will hamper on the immunity. So I would suggest to stay away from this thing. Second thing about yogurt. Yogurt is also, in Ayurveda we say, it is pitta increasing. That means it can bring up the inflammation. At the same time, it can bring up the mucus too. In Ayurveda, that's why we suggest do not eat yogurt in the morning or in the evening. If you have to eat it, only during lunchtime. Because in Ayurveda it has been said in Sanskrit, a very specific word for that, it is called abhishandi. Means it is having an effect of clogging the channels. So it is better to avoid yogurt in the morning or in the evening. Even cheese, like that type of things. Any fermented things, you have to be very careful. Then eating of chocolate. Eating of any junk food like pizza, burger and all these things. Stay away from bakery products. That is also very important. Now the next part is honey. Many people now use honey because they think honey is the best substitute for the sugar, which is true too, but it is not really the substitute, I would say. Because when you want to consume honey or you want to use honey, you have to follow some rules and regulations. Ayurveda says honey should not be consumed with your hot infusion. It should not be baked. It should not be cooked. Because when you cook or bake it, then it forms a metabolic toxins. Even the name has been given in Sanskrit in Charak Samhita. It is called Madhu Ama. Madhu means honey and Ama means toxins. Very interestingly, if you see in honey, there is one organic compound. It is called hydroxymethyl furfural, in short HMF. Now this HMF, if it is get heated, then it can be carcinogenic. It can produce or it can give rise to disease like cancer. So it is so inflammatory. And that's why we generally say try to stay away from this type of things. That means honey, if you want to use it on room temperature. Don't use it in your infusion, cooking or baking. Then honey is quite good because it is extensively described in Ayurveda in many ways, in many aspects. This is the knowledge, and knowledge always rule out the ignorance, and that's why try to gain the knowledge. So I'm giving you some practical themes. Now we have to talk about herbs and the spices. We always say kitchen is our pharmacy. So treat food as a medicine. Don't treat medicine as a food. Now, the nature has made it so many things available around us which are so nice for our own health. And of course, our physiology really welcomes this type of herbs and the spices instead of any foreign bodies. Of course, I'm going to make another video for specifically about the herbs and the spices. But right now, in this situation, it is very important to have some herbs and the spices. What kind of spices or herbs? All over the world, these spices are available in our kitchen, like ginger, turmeric, cumin, coriander, basil, cardamom, clove, cinnamon, many. N number of spices, but they are having some effect on our physiology. And if you see, almost every country has some tradition of using the spices in the form of decoction or the infusion when they are having cough, cold or fever or something like that. Ginger, which is very commonly used. In fact, if you notice the Sanskrit name of the ginger, in Ayurveda it has been said Vishwa Bheshaja. Vishwa means the world and Bheshaj means the medicine. So it is the medicine of the world. See how fantastically it has been expressed in the Sanskrit word. So use of these spices to avoid any infection in the respiratory system, which is now with this current COVID-19 situation, that can be easily avoidable by using some spices, of course according to your constitution and imbalances at the same time. And last but not the least, how can I forget to tell you, yoga, meditation and pranayama. If you want to bring up your immunity, yoga, meditation, pranayama and Ayurveda together will bring up or will boost your immunity to fight the infections. And that's why we say try to use this tool which is available because of this Vedic wisdom. So try to regularly follow these rules. And in this also, in fact, I would like to extend a little bit more is change your lifestyle. Don't stay up late. Go to bed early, wake up early, try to have your meals at proper time. Lunch should be the main meal of the day. Dinner should be as light as possible and as early as possible. Try to have very light breakfast or if possible avoid it, and do physical exercise. I think there are so many points we will talk later because I am going to make some series of the lectures. So another point before I say or I pause is take away the fear. Fear is one another a big aspect which can hamper your immunity. Because right now with the current scenario, so many people are under fear of this coronavirus. So stay happy. When you stay happy, the fear will go away because fear will hamper your digestive fire, and digestive fire, if it is hampered, then your digestion will be not good, and then the nourishment would be not good, and there is immunity is not so good too. So stay happy, stay healthy, and thank you very much for listening.